Why, hello there, and welcome to Well, I already botched it up. Man, we went 0 for 2 and I already botched it up. Okay, start over. Hello there out there. My name is Edward Boyce,
And I'm Shaner.
and welcome to Two Dudes on the Radio. And welcome to Two Dudes on the Radio. That's your part.
No, my part is. Oh, wait, I did. We are good at this. The world is crazy, but luckily, so are we. I thought you said that first part.
No, well, it's supposed to go like, hello out there. My name is Edward Boyce. I'm Shaner. Welcome to Two Dudes on the Radio. Da, da, da. Anyways. Oh, well, 2 for 3. We'll take it. Anyways, thank you for tuning in. Before we dive into the show, I want to thank everyone that went onto YouTube and listened to our recording of our show. We got some good feedback from people.
We did. We got a lot of feedback. We love
Yeah.
feedback here.
Oh, feedback's great because we don't know what we're doing, to be honest.
Yeah, no.
we want to know how to do better. So, feedback's appreciated. And I was just surprised by how many people listened. Actually, I meant to look at how many views the channel had at this
Yeah,
point.
let's check that viewer count.
That viewer count.
I'm going to put it around maybe, let's say, 20.
20.
That's my guess.
I'm signed out. Okay, I'll check some other time. We'll talk about the next episode, or I'll throw out a post about it. Which, great segue. If you're not already following, go follow us on Instagram and Facebook, where we will post funny things and clips from not clips from our show, but little tidbits from our show and ask questions for you guys to answer. Oh, do you have it?
22 views.
Wow, that's crazy.
I was so close.
I was expecting like 5, maybe
Now we
10.
got 22 views.
Wow, that's not bad.
And we even have 1 subscriber.
I think that's me.
Thank you so much for subscribing to our channel.
You're welcome. You're so very much welcome. All right. Well, without further ado, I think that's all we have.
I think so.
Yeah. Shout out to my Uncle Andy for helping me fix the recording of this, because I know in the or episode 2, there's like this little buzz, and he told me I had to fix the buzz in the recording. So that shouldn't be here this time around. So thank you.
So if you hear a buzz, let us know.
Well, there shouldn't be. If there is a buzz, then
Let us know.
oh dear. Okay, so first segment, your questions, where we answer your questions. So this week I have both the questions lined up for today.
Hit us with them.
All right, so our first one is courtesy of Holly Hendershot. Sorry, Holly Boyce. My bad. Holly
Your own
Boyce.
your own wife.
I'm sorry.
Wow.
Well, I don't know. It's just her. Okay, she keeps the name Hendershot because she wants to have like a professional name of sorts. So like she keeps it for more professional things. But so since we're in a more, this isn't even a
I guess
professional.
your name's not
forget
professional.
it. I just messed it up. I'm sorry. Moving on. Her question was, why did we decide to start this show?
Because you asked me to. And it sounded like a fantastic idea.
I mean, yeah, that's pretty much the long and the short of it.
I think so. I think you texted me one night and was like, what do you think about a radio show? And I was like, yes.
Yeah, because I'm not writing as much anymore. I'm a journalism major, for those who don't know. But I used to write a lot for the newspaper here. But I'm not writing as much as I used to. So I wanted something else to kind of fill that void and to do something new. And I've always wanted to do shows. I was like, Shaner would be a great person to do a show with.
Oh, yeah, we have great banter.
We do have great. I think we did. I was told by many people that we have good chemistry together. So
Aw.
it works out.
I love our chemistry.
I like our chemistry too.
It just translates naturally onto the air.
I think it does.
We're just having a conversation. That's all this is.
It
This is just one of our normal conversations, except this time actually people are listening.
That sounds about right. All right. So yeah, I mean, pretty short answer to a pretty easy.
We
question.
like being weird.
Yeah.
That's about our thing.
I like the randomness.
I like being weird, and people know me for my weirdness, so more people will know me hopefully by this.
This dude wears so many trench coats and boots. It's amazing. He cosplays, by the way, so of course he has all this paraphernalia.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Edward is fantastic. He's my friend. He was my roommate.
Was.
There's a lot of emotional trauma there.
He never lets me forget.
He left me for his wife. Can you believe it?
I know.
Loyalty doesn't
Loyalty.
happen anymore.
Chivalry's dead. And loyalty's
Chivalry is dead.
Yep.
Just leave me to get married.
Pretty much, yeah.
At least I have the decency to wait until after I'm graduated to leave my roommate.
All right, moving on. Second question comes courtesy of Claire. How do you pronounce her last name?
Raynone.
Raynone?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry, Claire. I always botch it up. So
Don't worry, gotcha.
Claire
I gotcha,
Renone, thank you for this question. She actually gave this to me a week ago, and I saved it for an occasion like this. Question is, why do peanuts exist? Now, a little feedback, or not feedback, background on Claire. She's allergic to peanuts. And I think we all know someone who's allergic to peanuts.
I do.
And in fact, I looked this up. The number of people that are allergic to peanuts has doubled over the last decade, which is pretty crazy. So this question is kind of a mean way of asking, why are so many people allergic to peanuts? And if people
is that
are
how is that what the question? I believe the question is, why do peanuts exist?
well, right, but that was like her initial question, but then she explained what she meant.
Oh,
So
okay.
I'm just kind of this
Proceed.
is where we're going with this. So, yeah. So if so many people are allergic to peanuts, then why do we, like eat them still and consider them a food? So, I did some digging, and I think I found hopefully an answer to that question. I don't know.
I
So
was gonna say, I thought the question was, why do peanuts exist? And I was just gonna say, because they do. I mean, why does anything exist?
that's why I didn't leave the question at that, Shayner, because
I realized
knew.
that now. I was just confused for a minute. Like, peanuts just exist. Nobody asks why, because God wanted them to.
I mean, yeah, pretty much. That's the long and the short of it. But no. So, like I said, peanut allergens in people have doubled over the past decade. Now, there's a bunch of theories as to why this has happened.
Because peanuts are genetically superior
To what?
to us. Peanuts will take over the world.
So you're
You
saying that
watch.
dolphins and peanuts are going to team up?
I mean, eventually, maybe. If the peanut allergy rate is expanding, who's to say it won't continue to expand? If everyone on the earth dies from a peanut allergy, they've taken over the world.
That's true.
Because right now, I think we're the most, what's the word I'm looking for here?
Advanced?
Advanced species. We hold place on the earth. So if peanuts destroy us, they've taken down the most advanced species on this earth.
So we're saying that peanuts are intelligent life forms?
No, they're just lucky. They will win. They will
Okay.
destroy humanity based on pure luck, it seems.
So, okay. So,
It's simple math,
oh, it's math. Oh, simple. Well, I can't argue with that if it's simple math.
right? I mean, peanut allergies are continuing to grow. Peanuts aren't going anywhere. They're a plant.
That's true.
And then when was the last time you saw someone say eradicate peanuts? No one does because no one wants to.
Well, I'm
It's
sure the
simple
people
math.
allergic to peanuts want them gone forever.
Well, that's a small population for now. By the time it gets too big for us to do anything about it, it'll be too late.
Hey, that might be. There you go, folks. Peanuts are gonna
Mark my words.
take out humanity.
If it weren't for biblical prophecy, peanut apocalypse.
Peanut apocalypse. That sounds like a T-shirt right there. We should get merch for this. That'd be great.
Right? It's just peanut apocalypse, the giant peanut on it.
And then we'll have another one. Yeah, you can't snort books.
See, we can already have this stuff down. We've got catchphrases and everything.
Okay, now to actual science. So, like I said, doubled in the last decade. People with peanut allergies. So one theory is that there's a lot of peanut oil in like oils that you put on like babies, like smoother skin and like stuff
Really?
like that. Well, or maybe it's like baby cream.
Either way, products
some-
you're putting on your baby are full of peanut
Yes,
oil.
there's a full of peanut oil. So because of the heavy exposure they have, the body then develops an inappropriate reaction to it and becomes allergic to it. So that's
All
one
right,
thing.
you heard the man. Stop putting peanut oil on your babies.
Yeah.
We can stop this right now, right
can.
here.
This can be the time.
Check your labels. If it says peanut oil,
Chuck it.
put it back on the shelf.
Second reason is proteins in peanuts are not found in those foods. Which I really don't want to get into more than that because that's science and I don't do science, but
Yeah, we're not science majors.
we're not science majors. But just know that the proteins in peanuts are not found in those foods. And go from that, roasting peanuts changes the structure of those proteins. So it makes it even weirder for your body to ingest them.
So you're saying our body builds up an intolerance by
Well,
eating peanuts?
it's kind of like you have this foreign protein that your body isn't used to producing, and so it automatically is like, go away, I don't understand you. Right?
So the very act of trying to destroy peanuts with our mouths is causing us to be allergic to them.
You're really going deep with this.
I don't know. I'm trying to understand science. Again, I'm just a simple Bible major over here.
Okay, sounds good. You keep doing that. We'll get to the bottom of this between the two of us.
So, things you can do to stop the peanut apocalypse. A. Stop putting it on your babies. B. Stop eating peanuts. We're not asking for much here.
Not much.
And if you enjoy PB&Js, I am really sorry. There's nothing we can do. You have two options. Stop it or death.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, two more things. So, the second reason is, so apparently, people who grow peanuts crop rotate it with cotton. Which, if you don't know crop rotation, think of it like 1 year you grow peanuts, the next year you grow cotton, and then the next year you grow something else, and the next year you grow peanuts. It's a cycle every year, so that your one crop doesn't deplete your soil of a specific like compound and make the soil useless. That's a very simple explanation of it. But anyways, so for cotton and peanuts, you use different like pesticides and different like chemicals and things you would use for cotton you wouldn't put on peanuts and vice versa. So some of the chemicals you would put on the cotton would then go into the soil and then affect the growth of the peanuts.
That makes sense.
So that's, again, another theory. And then lastly, higher hygiene makes immune systems develop inappropriate reactions that they shouldn't normally do because your body is made to fight stuff. And so it's going to find something to fight. And so because peanuts are already like the proteins and then possible chemicals, that's already something that isn't exactly the best for you to digest. So your body's gonna think that as an enemy, quote unquote enemy.
So you're saying cleaning yourself, proper hygiene or increased hygiene.
Very increased hygiene, because like we aren't living as a society. We've kind of come far in the world, especially with COVID now, like hand sanitizers all over the place, cleaning surfaces all the time. You got Listerine for your mouth. Like they didn't have that and do all that like 100 years ago, 200 years ago. And even then it's increased compared to like 20 years ago. So
many things causing peanut allergies possibly.
Well, these are theories. Keep in mind,
Possibly.
These are theories. And these last two are like minority opinions I found. Like the first few I've listed are the more popular ones. Those last two, the chemicals, the higher hygiene one, those are more specific ones that are not as popular from what I saw. So
it seems like the ball is in our court when it comes to stopping the peanut apocalypse.
that's true.
What will you do to stop the spread of peanut apocalypse? Keep your babies safe. Stop cleaning yourself. Don't rotate crops.
Well, no, you can rotate crops. Just be careful which ones you rotate and don't put chemicals, or like be careful of the ones you put in. Because you need crop rotation. That's something that you need. But sorry, I'm going too deep and serious. You're just.
I am making sure we're safe.
That's very important. Very, very important. So, I think, Grid, do you want to add anything else to our peanut question?
I don't think so. I think we went pretty deep.
We went pretty deep with the peanuts. That sounds like good social media. Look out for the social media question on that.
Yeah.
For you to answer. So, next segment, which is business, right?
Hole in the wall.
Hole in the wall. Random business that you wouldn't otherwise know about. So, Shana.
Hit us. What's this week's random business?
Oh, now you're going to see any of this coming. How do you feel about singing telegrams?
I love them.
You love them. Have you ever had one?
No. I only know about them from the movie Clue.
Oh,
have you ever seen the old movie Clue? There's a singing telegram. That's the only reference point I have. So I can figure out what they are.
You haven't seen a lot of old movies, have you?
Not enough to know more about singing telegrams. So inform me about these.
Well,
do they still exist?
Well, they do actually. There are a few people that still do singing telegrams, even though I've personally never seen one.
Neither have I, except in like fiction.
Exactly, or like from 50, 60, 70, 80 years ago. But yeah, there's still people doing singing telegrams. And we're going to highlight one of those specifically. Horse Feathers, BC, singing telegrams, etc.
Wow.
This is a one-man show. Well, from what I can tell, it's a one-man show. And this guy's based actually in Pittsburgh, so you can contact. Yep, exactly.
Local guy.
Local dude. And again, that is Horse Feathers, BC, Singing Telegrams, etc. And this dude will dress up. Not only will he sing a telegram for you to someone, he will dress up in costumes and sing those telegrams. All right.
Well, I know what I'm doing from now on.
Mm-hmm. Now, here are his custom characters, because he has some custom costumes besides the one he bought. Gorilla, which he has pictures on his website, and he heavily favors wearing his gorilla suit.
I mean, that's a classic.
He will wear his gorilla suit and then dress up in other costumes. So,
I'm loving this guy already.
for instance, he's in his gorilla costume, and then he impersonates Elvis.
This is beautiful.
Another one, he's dressed up in a gorilla, and he's imitating in St. Patrick, I think that is.
Wow. I mean, you had me at gorilla suit.
Yeah,
Everything else is just icing on the cake, the gorilla cake.
I know, right? Some other custom characters: Grim Reaper, Prince Charming, Pirate, Cowboy, Clown, Gangster, Bellboy.
He does everything.
He does a lot. He says it's family owned, and they've been doing it for over 41 years.
Wow. 41 years singing telegrams. Is it that popular? What are his rates like?
I mean, if it's lasted for over 41 years,
I
which I'm
guess.
very much surprised. Though I guess if you're the only one around, then
What would be the purpose of a singing telegram? It'd have to be just a prank, I think, at this rate.
I mean, yeah,
Such ineffective method of getting information. It'd have to be for fun or for a prank. Nobody thinks, man, I wish that text message could have been sung to me at my door.
cue a musical about your wish.
Da-da-da-da-da-da. Hey, LOL.
There is a video on his page of him doing a telegram. I think to someone's birthday. I think it's a birthday. I don't want to play it here because I don't know how good the noise will be, but I think it's during a birthday. So, specialties. Famous for personalized songs since 1978.
1978, he's been doing this.
Affordable prices starting at $45.
Now, do you think the price goes up by how long your message is or the costumes?
Probably if it's more of a complicated costume, I would imagine it's more expensive.
Do you think $45 is a reasonable price for that?
I
If
mean,
I were going to pay someone to go and sing my message to somebody, you think $45?
for someone to memorize a song, be good at singing, dress up in a suit, drive to wherever you are near Pittsburgh, sing it, and then go back home and live off of this, I think $45 at least is a pretty good bargain.
Well, you got me there.
Because I'm sure clowns are more expensive than that.
You know, if this becomes the mode of, communication in the next few years, when the apocalypse happens and the cell towers go down, this is what we're going to be using. You're in a resistance base and you've got your guns loaded and you're waiting for the zombies to come to your door and you hear a knock. You walk to the door and you open up and there's a clown and he sings the secret message to you. You pay him in bottle caps or seashells. Because we won't be using paper money. And he just skips away and you give him a new message, give back to your leaders. Once the peanut apocalypse happens,
That might be.
it's all connected.
All connected.
Singing telegrams, the way of the future. Da 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 da. Your secret base was blown up and everyone is dead. Da. That'll be $45. Plus a tip.
I wish we had a soundboard, because if we did, I would totally put that on it.
Pardon me, I'm not good at singing.
I don't know. That was maybe you should start your own singing telegram.
Maybe I should.
because you already cosplay.
Waynesburg University telegram service. I'll go to anyone's dorm and sing a singing telegram for you. I'll deliver grades for professors. Da 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 da.
Hey.
You failed your test. Find a new major. I don't know. You're not meant to do science. You got a 65. Da, 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 da. Goodbye. That'll be $25.
Well, speaking of prices, there's more prices and how. So personalized song delivered in costume locally, $65. Only 55 with weekday discount.
Ooh.
Yeah. Pre-written song delivered in costume locally, it's also $55, but it's $45 on a weekday. And then you can add a balloon to either service for $12.
A balloon for $12?
Which, by the way, he also just dresses in a costume and can come to your events.
Oh, okay.
So
that's
he
a good
can do
backup.
both. He does still telegrams in costume, but he could also go to costume as whatever you want him to be at your event. Which I don't know why you want that, but hey, I guess children's.
Yeah, if you dress up like Spider-Man or something, that's a pretty popular business, I guess.
I don't think this guy's dressing up as Spider-Man. This guy's more in the, and I don't mean this in a mean way, but he's more on the heavier side. So I don't think he'd be dressing up as Spider-Man. He's got a lot of cool ones, like he's a cowboy, Disneyland gorilla.
Ooh.
That's
I mean,
another
what
one
little
didn't
boy
mention.
doesn't want a gorilla at their birthday party singing a pre-made song with a balloon for $12?
Yeah.
It's
I think
a
most
solid deal.
Most importantly, always performed in good taste. So he's a homely guy.
Oh, that's good. It's a family business, he said.
Yeah.
So,
He's not gonna be trying to sell your child on the side while you're.
I mean, I
Well,
can't
he's singing to
imagine like you're someone's neighbor and you open up to get your newspaper one day and there's a clown on your neighbor's doorsteps with singing obscenities. At them at 3 in the morning, at 5 in the morning.
Would you do that for your telegram service, Shaner?
No, if I do a singing telegram service, there will be no obscenities.
Good.
We're keeping this PG.
PG.
I don't want to get arrested by the security guards. Walk into someone's dorm at 11:40 in the morning and just start shouting obscenities in my song in their face,
That'll go over real well at Christian University.
right?
It would. So I'm not gonna probably post this website on the YouTube, and if you're listening to this live, then you're probably not getting the website. But anyway, the website again in the business is Horse Feathers BC Singing Telegrams, etc.
What a weird name. Horse feathers.
Horse Feathers. Yeah, I don't know. I wonder what the story is about that or behind that. Which actually, hold on, they have an
Maybe it's
about
where he
page.
lives. Is there a Horse Feathers Pittsburgh? I can't imagine so,
I don't think
but
so.
I don't know all of Pittsburgh or geography in general.
Here's the interesting thing, and I said this already, but he was established in 1978. I didn't realize telegrams were still a thing back then.
I mean, I think you can still send a telegram today. They're ineffective because you have text messaging, but probably
I'm
still
saying
happen.
like a singing telegram.
Oh, well, I mean, he established himself in 1978. I wonder if he started as something else. Like, did he start as a singing telegram service, or did it evolve into that as a joke kind of thing?
Maybe, I don't know.
Like, did he start off as just a appearance thing, and somebody asked him, "Hey, could you go to my friend's house and sing this song for them?" I can't imagine anyone using this for any other purpose than for entertainment.
Well,
Like-
yes, that is the point, is entertaining the person you're sending
Right.
a telegram to.
Like, I don't think you could ever have a serious singing telegram. Man in a
Probably.
suit.
Yeah.
Da 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 da. You forgot to file your taxes, and now you're going to jail. Da 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 da. This is a message from the IRS. Do do do. You're going to jail.
You're enjoying this way too much.
Look me up. Singing telegram service for Waynesburg University.
There we go. Oh, the phone number for these people to end this section is 412-488-2100. Again, that's 412-488-2100. Hey, possible sponsor, by the way. No, I'm just saying, like,
Oh.
this could be a possible sponsor.
If anyone sends a singing telegram to this show, we will find you.
We'll hug you. Actually,
Maybe.
would we? Maybe.
I think it'd be kind of creepy if a clown appears outside that door and starts singing to us. I'm gonna find whoever did it.
Yeah.
But you know what? If you're brave enough to go and hire this guy, make him drive all the way down here and pay $45 to have him dress up as a clown and sing outside our front door, you'll get a guest appearance, a guest mention, because that's bravery.
Well, hold on, because what if the message they send is full of obscenities?
Well, he said it keeps
vulgarity.
it family friendly.
Oh, you mean this guy specifically?
Yeah, if anyone
Oh,
sends
yeah,
this
okay.
guy specifically, or any, you know what? If anyone sends any singing telegram to this door, we'll mention you on the show.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, if you go all the way out, and we'll try to record it, and we'll get a video, and we'll put it on social media.
Yeah. Don't take that as a challenge, but if you do it, we'll
Good
find
idea.
you and you'll get a guest mention on the show.
I don't think you spend $45+ to get a guest mention on a college radio show where 20, maybe 20 people are listening.
Well, you know, I've seen crazier things happen.
That's true. Again, that is Horse Feathers BC Singing Telegrams. Phone number 412-488-2100. Shaner, speaking of possible sponsors,
Would you like to know today's possible sponsor?
I would. What is
Today's
today?
possible sponsor is the NSA. They're our biggest fans. They're always listening to anything we do.
That's I guess that is true. There will be always our most consistent.
They'll always be
Listenership.
listening.
You will
If
be
you're
able
out
to-
there, we love you.
And if you do sponsor our show, what will we do, Shaner, if they sponsor our show?
Ooh, we will. Oh, that's a tough one. What can you do for the NSA?
Yeah, that's
We will not divulge government secrets on air.
because we already know those. We go deep diving on the.
Who really killed JFK? I don't know.
That's true. Like,
That's what it'll sound like when we deny anything. Get in contact with us. You can text our phones. You know our numbers.
yeah, that's true. You already know our number, so you can already get a hold of us. So we don't need to give you our personal information.
All right. Next segment for our show, Bible Spark Notes edition.
Shaner, what's the story or stories? Do we have multiple stories today?
Just one today.
Oh, just
This
one?
story
Alright.
is called Bored to Death. That's a common phrase, bored to death. But did you know this actually happened in the Bible? I'm going to read to
Okay.
you from the book of Acts.
Okay.
It's about Paul, the famous apostle Paul.
All right, Paul. All right.
Now, get ready for this.
I am preparing myself.
This is found in Acts chapter 20. Now, Paul's in the city and he's teaching people. And he's giving them a big, long message. These people, they can talk and talk and talk. Back then, that's all they
Right.
could do. They didn't have PowerPoints or all this fancy stuff we have in church today. They could speak to each other.
Also, they had what's the word I'm looking for? The attention span of
Oh, yeah. They knew what they could focus.
their attention span was like a whale, and ours now is
They
like
didn't
a
get
mouse.
distracted. Except for this guy, who apparently did not have an attention span, or he was just really tired.
He didn't care.
Well,
did not
listen to
care.
this. So, Paul began talking to them, intending to leave the next day, and he prolonged his message until midnight. So you imagine, you've ever been at church service, and even though you shouldn't, you think in your head, "Oh man, I wish this guy would stop. Gotta get home, and I gotta watch the football game or something like that."
Right.
Whatever they were doing back then. Well, Paul prolonged his message until midnight.
That's
It
a
says there were
really
many
long
lamps in
time.
the upper room where we were gathered together, and there was a young man named Eutychus. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. Hopefully, sitting on the windowsill, sinking into a deep sleep. Now you have to imagine, they weren't just on the first; they were in the upper room, which means at least the second, if not the third floor in this house.
Okay.
They're pretty high up. And says as Paul kept on talking, he was overcome by sleep, meaning the guy in the window. And he fell down from the third floor, it says. Fell down from the third floor and was picked up dead. So you can imagine, here's Paul, he's preaching. He's just going at it. And Paul, he's got all this deep theology,
Right.
and he's really letting him have it. And he's teaching and preaching. And here's the guy sitting on the windowsill, and he gives a big yawn. He was like, "Oh, this is great, Paul. I love this." And then eventually he keeps yawning and keeps drifting off. Everyone's seen people do it in church, the whole falling asleep in church
Right.
bit. Eventually, he probably shouldn't have been sitting on the window, but he falls asleep and he falls backwards and thunk, hits the ground and he's dead. Paul's message bored him to death. Now, good end of the story. The guy was alive in the end. Paul goes down and reassures everyone, and he ends up living. But can you believe that? Can you imagine being that kid? Or being Paul? Either people in that situation.
I wonder what was going through Paul's mind as he saw this dude fall out, or he learned that this dude fell out.
You can imagine he's probably watching
Window.
him, getting annoyed he's falling asleep. He's like, "Is my message really that boring? You're sleeping? I know I'm preaching until midnight, but come on. This is good stuff. I'm the Apostle Paul." Not that he's overconfident, but he knows
Right.
this stuff is important. And he sees this guy falling asleep, and one minute he's there, and the next minute you see his legs fly out the window, and there he goes. And he probably stood there in shock for a minute. Like, did that just happen? Did that guy just fall out the window? Did I see that?
Yeah. Or counter story. He's preaching, and he's so into his preaching that he doesn't notice the dude fall out the window.
Very possible.
And then someone points it out and stops the entire sermon. I guess that's what you call it. Yeah, sermon. And Paul, he's like, oh, I guess I've been preaching for a while now, and it is kind of midnight, past everyone's bedtimes. And so he's like, oh, I guess it's kind of my fault. Walks down, heals the dude.
Let me read you the rest of the
To
story.
kind
so
of
we can
make
get
up
clear
for
on
his.
the rest of the story. It says, Paul went down and fell upon him, and after embracing him, he said, do not be troubled, for his life is in him. When he had gone back up and he had broken the bread and eaten, he talked with them a long while until daybreak, and then left. They took away the boy alive, and they were greatly comforted. So he just, it doesn't even say how he came. He just said he took the boy away alive. So now imagine it from the boy's perspective. You have to flip the situation around, and can you imagine falling asleep one minute, and the next minute you're awake, and Paul's message is done, and you're like, what happened? And they're like, you died, man. You fell out the window while Paul was preaching and died.
It said that he died, right?
Yes. It said he fell down dead. It says right here, he fell down from the third floor and was picked up dead.
Yeah, that's dead.
That's dead, Dead is dead.
Maybe this happened to Paul before, and Dr. Luke, that's who's writing this, right?
Yes.
This is the first time he's encountered. He has no idea about the previous encounters. So Paul's like, oh, this happens all the time. God will bring him back. It'll be fine. Just let it go.
It may have happened. It doesn't say. But Paul was known for speaking a lot.
He did speak a lot.
That was kind of his thing.
It was his thing, speaking a lot.
Speaking. He loved to preach.
Well, what version is this, by the way?
It's the NASB. Usually if I'm reading something on the show, it'll be NASB. That's the tradition I was raised in, at least.
I was raised, I think, NIV. I think that's what I was raised
Yeah,
on.
I've seen a lot of it. There's a lot of NIV out there.
I don't think I've ever heard. I mean, back where I lived, I lived in Eastern PA. Shannon's from Western PA, so we grew up on two different sides of the state. So I've never actually used anyone heard that version until I moved here.
Oh yeah, I think it's popular here.
Yeah, I heard more people use it. So
speaking of the NIV, shout out to Dr. Reverend William Younger, my professor for all my night classes, Christian theology, who uses the NIV version and calls it the nearly infallible version as a joke, obviously. But shout out to him, because when I hear NIV, he's the only thing I can think of.
That's funny. All right, anything else we want to say for that? That was kind of a short
Yeah, it
segment
was.
for that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to say about that.
Oh, I think we covered all the basics, but we have room to talk about our favorite thing.
Our favorite thing.
Our favorite segment of the show.
Oh, yes. Oh, by the way, before we get into our favorite segment of the show, we need to talk about our student of the week. Our student of the week, Zachary Porter.
Good job.
Good job, Zach.
You know what you did.
I haven't talked to Zach I talked to him once. I sat down and ate lunch with him. That's pretty much it. But good job, Zach. You done good. All right, now for our final segment, and personally, I think it's our favorite.
I think it is. We could just do this segment for the whole show, probably.
We probably could. So last week, if you were not listening, we watched Moose, the movie, which wasn't bad. It was kind of nice how they tried, but there were some bad parts. But there's also some good.
What this segment is.
Oh, sorry. Yes, there is a reason why they're called B movies. We talk about B movies.
We love B movies here.
We do love B movies here.
And if you have suggestions, we're running out of ideas quickly. So
we are.
If you have ideas for B movies, hit us up, let us know, and we'll review them if we find them interesting enough.
Well, I guess you're right, because there's a lot of copies of ideas in B movies.
Movies we're steering away from, just so people know, we're trying to steer away from the B movies that are popular enough to be in the, if I say a cultural eye, if you will, like Sharknado. We're steering away from unless we do a special segment on it. Velocipaster, one of my personal favorites, but we're saving that for a just-in-case moment.
Oh yeah, that
we're trying to find the really bad B movies.
Yes, the ones that no one's ever watched.
For a good reason.
So, do you want to tell them about the movie we watched?
Yes.
Tanner?
So, to start this segment off, a question for you.
Answer.
What does soup, zombies, really bad gunplay and Noah's flood have in common? If your answer was the action movie Guns of the Apocalypse, you would be right.
I was really trying to think of something else that encapsulated all that.
This movie contains everything I just said and more.
Does it though? I think
there's
that's
more
pretty-
you could say, but without spoilers.
Well, I mean, yeah, but that's the nutshell of the movie.
That pretty much is.
Yeah, that's pretty much. There's not much else
Soup,
to go in.
zombies,
You could call it
bad
a day for that.
gunplay, and Noah's flood.
No, yeah.
That's about it. That sums it up right there. Go home. That's it. We're done.
Yeah.
We've reviewed the whole movie.
It's pretty bleak when it comes to actual content. Let's walk you through. So, oh gosh, I didn't write down his name. Gasp.
He
Well,
didn't
the main
have one.
character. He didn't have one.
They never say a name.
Oh, you're right. Okay,
He's just
then it
listed
wasn't
as the
just-
unnamed man, which is kind of weird for your main character
Yeah.
to not have a name. Everyone else in that movie had a name.
Okay. Then it wasn't just me because I don't remember. Okay.
No, never named.
Anyway, so the unnamed man, he is a, gosh, it's so hard to describe what happened because it's a lot of something then nothing and then nothing and then nothing and then nothing and then
Well,
something and then
I think
nothing.
we could start by saying the movie takes place in a pre or a post-apocalyptic Earth.
Yes, post-apocalyptic Earth. There was nukes that were set off. It took out 99% of the population.
Yeah, something almost all of it.
Yep, a lot of people. And unnamed man was not on Earth when it happened. He was on a ship back from a colony, right?
An Alpha Centauri
Yes.
space colony.
Yes, Alpha Centauri space colony, which, by the way, took 10 years to travel to and from Earth, which I don't understand why you'd have a colony that far away.
I don't know. I mean, space travel's complicated.
But 10 years?
Wasn't it 5 years to get there and 5 years back though?
Oh, that might have
Either
been
way,
it.
that's still a long time. But space travel's like that. I mean, you can only move so fast in space, and it's such a big
Why
place.
go so far away?
Best place to settle?
Fine. Well, they don't explain it in the movie. They just
They
say
don't explain
that.
a lot of things in this
They
movie.
don't explain a lot. So, anyways, he was traveling back from Alpha Centauri when the apocalypse happened. When he showed up, it was pretty much a barren wasteland. So he's currently surviving. However, he's also waiting for the next ship
Spacecraft.
to come back from Alpha Centauri so he can get back on it and go back. Because let's face it, he wants to live in a post-apocalyptic age.
It's a pretty terrible Earth too. I mean, the post-apocalyptic Earth they paint in this movie is very bleak. It's helped out by, I think, the black and white color scheme of the movie. It's sepia, I guess you could say, black and white sepia tone. It felt very bleak, did it not?
It was very bleak, and they had like this. I think this is what you meant by sepia take. I don't think I've ever heard that phrase used.
It's when you have like a brown tint to everything.
Yeah, it was like this brown tint. I didn't like it personally. I thought it just made it ugly. But I guess
I only noticed the
point.
black and white. I didn't notice the brown tint really. I just noticed
Okay.
the black and white kind of feel to everything. But there was also snow everywhere. I don't know where they filmed it. They didn't say.
They didn't
but-
say no.
We combined with the snow, the lack of actors, and the overlay, the colors of the movie, they did very well in making it this bleak post-apocalyptic Earth. I'll give them credit. It felt very
Yeah.
bleak.
It did felt very bleak and empty. That's very true. They even had like abandoned vehicles that were
Yeah.
rusted over, which helped. Anyways, so when the bombs were set off, it created these. They're not zombies. Did they even have a name? They weren't zombies. They were like high functioning animal forms of humans.
Yeah, they were basically, just think of zombies. To make it simple, just think of zombies. That's what they were.
Think of high functioning zombies.
Yeah, they weren't the completely drag their feet and grunt kind of zombies.
Well, they kind of were.
Kind of.
They kind of were, but they also like could hear and see and somewhat communicate.
If you're confused right now, believe me, so are we.
Yeah.
I mean,
These,
our confused tone should paint to you how wonderfully confusing this movie was.
yeah, and empty of detail. I think these quote unquote zombies appeared like 3 times in the movie,
They did, and
even though they
didn't
were
need
keep
to be
mentioned.
there. It's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that in this movie. Like, it didn't need to be there. Like the whole Alpha Centauri space colony thing didn't need to be there.
Didn't need to be there, no. But it helps drive the entire movie, sort of.
So, anyways, may I continue on with the plot?
If you want to continue, go ahead.
All
Go
right.
for it.
So we talked about unnamed man surviving in the wilderness, but one day he wakes up and he's greeted by 2 survivors he finds in the woods. Unexplained 2 women. Well, one's an older woman, one's a young child.
By older, we mean like 30.
Yeah. And he takes them in, and the mystery just starts to unravel from there. And that's all. There's a lot of spoilers we can't talk about.
Well, because there's not really much to the movie, so the more we go, the more we would say from here, the more it would spoil everything about the movie. Because part of this movie is like mystery and not knowing what's going on, and then it kind of gets revealed as the movie goes along. So there's not much more we can say about the story beside that, except for a few.
It does a solid job, I think. If you're into movies where you don't know this, it doesn't reveal all the answers immediately.
Or it doesn't reveal the answers at all, which I think is at most of those questions.
Yeah, this movie opens more doors than it closes. Like, you know that old phrase, when God closes a door, he opens a window. This movie is like, when this window opens a door, it opens 15 more for no reason. It never closes any of them, except maybe 2, let's say.
Yeah.
There's so much left unexplained in this movie that I want to know more, but at the same time, I don't want to watch another movie with this.
I don't want to watch another. This is probably, and you might disagree, this is the worst, and I say worse, the least entertaining B movie I've ever watched.
I would agree with you. The other B movies, like I think we were talking earlier, other B movies, they were terrible, but they caused you to enjoy yourself. Like, you enjoyed them because they were terrible.
Yeah, so like for Velocipaster, it was the ridiculousness and the action that wasn't bad, but it was comedic action, the comedy in there. Same with Jesus Christ Vampire
That one just
Hunter.
held. Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter was funny just in its insanity.
Oh yeah, it was just insane. Like, there's no better word to describe it.
It was insane, but it felt like a fun joyride into insanity. This felt more like dragging its feet. I don't even know what to say.
It felt like wandering into a plane and not really sure where you're going, but then you're pushed into a specific direction without knowing why or by who. And you just kind of go that way and you end up somewhere. You're just kind of like, oh, okay.
Again, if it sounds like we're rambling here, it's because this movie just left us with nothing.
Yeah.
It leaves you feeling not filled. You know, like if this movie were a meal, it would be like Thanksgiving dinner and you eat mashed potatoes and you eat stuffing, but you're waiting for the turkey and you think the turkey's coming. And then you finish the turkey, you finish the mashed potatoes and the stuffing, and everyone goes, okay, that was a great meal, and walks off with no turkey, you know? You're left wanting more.
Yeah, unsatisfied. Especially the ending. The ending was...
Yeah, the ending was just...
You're like,
without
what?
spoiling it, you're left feeling like there could have been maybe 10 more minutes of content.
Yeah,
or at least at the very least 1 minute to wrap everything up, but it just ends.
It was pretty abrupt.
But unlike Avengers Infinity War, where it ended in the middle of something, but you go, wow, that was done so well. This ended in the middle of something, and you're like, what happened? Did your editing team get bored? Did they go on strike?
Ran out of the budget,
I guess, and you ran out of budget, and you just have to stop the movie there, slap a finish on that thing, and you're good. And I think, I would say the ending was it was terrible. It wasn't what should have happened. There was no reason. How about that?
Yeah, it was not even funny.
There was no reason for what happened to have happened. There was nothing set that up in the beginning. We can't say much without spoiling it, but you'll get to the end if you dare to try and watch this thing, and you'll realize there's no reason for what happened. It just kind of comes out of nowhere, no explanation. I don't know if they were trying to make the viewer sad. It didn't work.
It made me sad because the ending was bad and I wanted something more satisfying. Which, speaking of satisfying, I think we talked the crap out of that ending. I think the one good, and I'm not even sure if you could use the word good, quality about this movie is the villain.
The villain was fantastic.
Which, again, we can't say much because part of it is finding out who he is. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, spoiler, it's a he. Sorry, my bad.
It's not even revealed until like 3/4 of the way through the movie until you finally learn who the villain is. But I think we can talk a little bit about him.
A little about him. He's easily the most developed character and most interesting character in the entire movie.
I would disagree with you there about most interesting. I would say there is one other character who is more interesting, but we'll get to him after we're done talking about this one.
But the villain,
I guess you could tell him his name. He doesn't really reveal much. The villain's name is the Reverend. That's all they refer to him as, and that's not a spoiler. It
Yeah,
doesn't tell
okay.
you what his
that's fair.
purposes are.
And you can kind of guess what he looks like / acts with the name the Reverend
Picture a southern revival preacher, but an evil one.
Baptist.
A Southern Baptist revival preacher, but maniacal. But he's got that kind of charismatic accent, and
Mm-hmm.
you're drawn into when he's performing, even though the voice work in this film is terrible. Like Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter was dubbed over there, like the lines were dubbed over the voice work, over the mouth work.
Worst dubbing I've ever seen.
But their voices had passion. The shopkeeper in Jesus
Yes.
Christ Vampire Hunter, it was dubbed, but it was the
At least
voice
they
work was at
acted.
least good. This one, the dialogue sounded like, let's say I'm talking to you, I go, "Hey Eddie, do you want to come to my party tonight?
Yes, I would love to come to your party.
That sounds
Shaner.
wonderful. I will bring snacks.
I like snacks.
That is great. Would you prefer Cheetos or soda?
I would like Cheetos, Shaner.
That is excellent. I will see you there."
That's pretty much the whole entire movie.
I honestly wondered if it was just a program running those voices, how like flat it sounded. There was no emotion at all, even from the main characters. Like if it had come from the bad guy's
Well-
henchmen, I would have accepted it. But our main characters couldn't even deliver a good performance.
If you actually look at the movie credits, all the characters were dubs, except the older, the 30-year-old Faith. Her name is Faith. That's the two women. The older one's Faith. The younger one is Hope. Faith's was not dubbed, and one of the Death Bringers,
Death Dealers.
Death Dealers. Sorry,
Stupidest name for a henchman I've ever
yes,
heard.
they were henchmen, Death Dealers.
Now, that is to say, to get back to our original point
Yes, villain.
about the voice work. The Reverend's voice work was incredible. He
really
had that
good.
accent, and he was still a bit mechanical. He didn't do the ups and downs your voice usually speaks at. Like you can hear the inflections
Mhm.
in our voices, but I didn't care as much because he had his mannerisms and stuff, and he made it seem like I wanted, I kind of like this villain.
It was good. Like that was a good B movie villain.
It was. Now I would disagree with your point that he was the most interesting, though. My favorite character is gonna have to be the governor. Now the governor is a character you meet halfway through the film. Again, not a spoiler. They talk about it early in the film. He's this guy living in the middle of nowhere, and they go to him for help. And the first
Mhm.
thing you see about him is he steps out of his little shack. Now keep in mind, building materials are scarce to find in this wasteland. So there's a shack held together by duct tape and tarps. And he steps out wearing the best outfit I've seen in that entire film. Like, I love the main guy's outfit. It felt cool. But this just felt insane. He had a hat, one horn coming off the one side like a Viking.
Which wasn't even an actual horn, by the way. It was like
It was something.
foam
I don't know.
or something.
Yeah, one horn coming off the one side looked like a Viking. On the other half, he had a raccoon's tail clipped to it, just hanging down. And he had a cloak on and overalls underneath it, and a giant, metal ladle. And he comes out of his shack going, soup, 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 and he's making soup.
Soup, soup, soup.
And his
soup,
whole
soup,
character
soup,
is based
soup,
around
soup.
making this soup and just
Soup.
being a nice guy.
Yes.
And he's the kind grandpa of all the stories you've ever seen. He just wants to help people and make soup. And that's
Yeah.
his character. And he was great. His voice work wasn't as bad.
I think the dubbing actually, the actual like dubbing of the voices was really good. Like it was
Yeah.
hard to, I wouldn't say it was hard, but it was if you weren't paying attention trying to find problems with the dubbing, you wouldn't have noticed it at all.
Yeah.
It was done well.
So I would say that would
Surprisingly.
be the most interesting character because I wanted to know. I would say I would want to know more about where did he come up with this soup? It's a mystery soup, but he calls it his not so world famous soup.
Critter stew.
Critter stew, that was
Yeah.
right, yeah.
Which, by the way, all the animals are dead, but for some reason the little critters, they gave a reason in the movie, but little like animals
Yeah.
like mice and
Big animals were
rabbits.
vaporized with humans.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some of the other bits in this film that were okay. We'll give the film its proper credits.
Is there anything else to credit? Like Soup Dude, the governor, and the villain, the Reverend. Those are the only two characters which
Not even
the only
just
two things I cared about
characters.
the movie at all.
I would say there's other things in the film that kind of made it okay, and I think that would be the sound design gave it a very distinct older feel. Like now, keep in mind this movie was made in 2018. if you didn't know.
Oh, that's true. I forgot. Yeah.
But the music work and the camera work made it feel like this film was made in the 1950s or 60s.
Fair
So they
enough.
really got
Okay.
that look down. That the music the way it sounded felt very old. So they achieved kind of that Twilight Zone era filmmaking.
Okay.
And
Fair enough.
some of the visual effects weren't terrible. As opposed to, let's say,
No. Yeah.
the dinosaur from Velocipaster or the entirety of Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter. These effects weren't bad. I mean, the nightmare sequences
True.
with the goo coming out of the faces, that's not a spoiler. Spoiler alert, nightmares,
Shh, don't say it. No. 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 No.
they don't go anywhere. I'm not letting people get set up for disappointment like that.
That's part of the movie, though, is getting set up for disappointment. All right.
I guess. There's
Okay.
a lot more in that movie you're going to get set up for.
Fair enough. Yeah, there's nightmares, and they don't lead up to anything. Sense Chainer's going to ruin that for you.
I could say about 10 more things and not ruin this entire movie. This whole movie, you could title it Guns of the Apocalypse, Set Up
Nowhere.
for Disappointment.
Yeah, probably.
Because that's all this film is. It sounds like it's a cool title, and the way they describe it, the way I would describe it, if you want to get a general tone for this, it's spaghetti western meets zombie apocalypse meets post-apocalyptic survival meets sci-fi fantasy. But it
Yeah.
doesn't need to be sci-fi fantasy.
Does not whatsoever.
It barely ties into the plot, and it's another one of those setup for disappointments. I mean, they reference the Alpha Centauri space colony, and that's mentioned twice, I think, three
At the
times.
beginning
at
of the
most.
movie, in the middle, and then
Yeah.
at the end.
It
3
didn't.
times.
They could have
maybe.
slapped another ending on that movie, and it would have been a lot better.
And there's nothing sci-fi
Right? There was nothing
besides
else to
those
indicate.
mentions. Like the
It's-
rest of the movie wasn't sci-fi.
They
at
don't
all.
use space guns. They all have revolvers.
Yeah, revolver.
There was one guy I saw, one of the henchmen, who had a rifle. In the very last,
Oh, yeah, that's
in one
true.
of the very
Yeah.
last fight scenes. Other than that, they're all using revolvers, and I can't think of a single reason for that besides the spaghetti western reference. Like,
Yeah.
everyone had a revolver.
Yeah, pretty much.
There were some nice revolvers in that film. I'll give them credit.
They were plastic.
They looked nice. I loved the henchman ones, the solid black metal and the white handles.
They looked, yeah.
You have to give them
Despite them being plastic, yes, they looked
The,
nice.
the henchman had a distinct look.
Oh yeah, the henchmen looked really nice. I thought they looked really.
That ties back to the villain
Okay.
being the best part of this
There
film.
you go. Yeah, henchmen were another good part. They were also interesting, which again I don't want to spoil
Yeah.
the why they look the way they look, which they
It
do
tied
give a
right into the
reason.
plot, and it did really good.
Yeah, they did a good job.
And the
with that, too.
henchman's motivations were, I mean, the villain's motivations were solid. Like,
Yeah.
I know why he was doing what he was doing, and I get how he was doing it.
Yes.
Like, everything about him felt good, and they felt like actually like they were doing something.
Realistic and real. Yeah.
They weren't just saying, "Oh, I'm mad, and Tony Stark made me mad." Not making fun of Marvel at all. But like they had good reasons, and it kind
Yes.
of brings up some ethical dilemmas. You know, as for as stupid a movie as it was, it did bring up some ethical dilemmas.
But they've been used so many times before.
Yes, they have, but to see that in
It
a
doesn't
B
give
movie,
anything new.
but to see that in a B movie,
Okay.
like let's look at the problems B movies have dealt with. You know, Velocipaster dealt with
Ninjas.
ninjas dealing cocaine in order to bring people to Christianity. Like, what was that? Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter, do I even have to say it? I mean,
Lesbian vampires.
stealing skin to walk around in the daytime. Okay.
Yes.
Moose, weird
Musator. killing everyone.
Musator murdering everyone
Yes.
for no reason other than he's mad. I mean, this movie brought up some ethical dilemmas about, it's not much of a spoiler, but it brought up ethical dilemmas about like cloning and
Yes.
kind of genetic modifications. It really dealt with real issues in an interesting way.
All right.
We'll give the
All right,
movie its
I
due.
guess.
It dealt with big issues that are prominent in the world today with in a fun and exciting way that you wouldn't otherwise see.
We gotta wrap this show soon, so let's get down to the final points. Which I'm glad you like this movie better than I did, because I forgot about the villains, and not the villains, the henchmen, because I did like the henchmen, and I forgot to mention that.
I wouldn't say liked this film.
Well, I'm sorry, you liked it. You saw the good in it more than I did.
That's fair.
which I was ready to like complete trash on this movie.
I will trash on most of this movie.
Oh yeah, it's pretty bad. Like if we had a ranking system of like the movies we reviewed, throwing in Velocipaster, I think for me, which, oof, this is.
If I had to rank the four we've seen.
Yeah, let's get to this later because we don't have much time. And there's one more thing I want to talk about: the fights in this movie.
Oh, okay. I would say I wouldn't even call them fights, but they were kind of fights. You can't see my air quotes.
Gunfights.
The gunfighting in this movie was okay. Was
Are
it
you
realistic?
kidding me?
No. I saw him fire off 9 shots and not reload. I mean, you don't see that even in Hollywood movies, but the fact that they even showed him with a handful of bullets and he fired off 9 shots from a typically 6-shot revolver without reloading.
That's your biggest problem?
Well, what was your biggest problem? Besides, okay, he took a couple bullets.
Here's the fights in the most of the movie, just summed up in this one scene. Unnamed hero walks up. 5 henchmen walk up. They're at a standstill. Unnamed man shoots all 5 of them down and does not get shot back.
Well, I could tie that back to it being a parody of spaghetti westerns. That's a classic trope in westerns like this, is to have the finger on the trigger.
But 5? He didn't even do that. He was like, pew, pew.
No, when he took out the 5 henchmen, it was quick. You know, he slammed the hammer.
He did
back
not
with
do
his
the
hand.
classic.
I saw him do. I just watched it
Did
today.
he?
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
I will give
guess
him
I
credit
missed
for
it.
that because it's a parody of a spaghetti western.
All right.
That's a trope. I wouldn't complain about that. That's a trope.
Fine. Whatever. I really did not. The fights were at least my least favorite part of this whole movie.
Yeah.
That's saying a lot.
Now, give them credit for realism in these fights. When he took a bullet, you felt it.
No, he didn't.
He got
barely
shot in the neck
acted.
once and he fell down. I mean, he overacted getting shot,
I disagree. He underacted getting shot. He got shot in the
Really?
shoulder. He was like, "Ugh," and then he kept moving.
and then he fell down after another.
And then he got shot in
2
the leg,
shots.
and then like had a light limp and walked away. Like
he
there's-
laid against the tree until
No.
the ending there. Again, we can't spoil
After
much.
he got shot 4 times.
Well, you know, maybe he's just tough. He's been doing this for a little while.
Okay, tough, yes, but when you've been shot in the leg, shot in the shoulder, and then shot, I think, in the back, what was the last shot, and I forget what the other shot was, but
Well, there's a video out there of a man shooting himself in the leg point blank. You can look it up. He was an idiot about it. He wasn't practicing gun safety, and he pulls the gun out of the revolver and shoots himself in the leg. But he stays up on his feet. It could happen.
I'm not saying it was impossible for him to walk, and then after getting shot, I'm saying it's impossible for him to not act out as much as he did in pain, and then take 2 more shots after the 2 he already took.
If anyone out there thinks they can take an extreme amount of bullets, write to us and we will test that out. We need to test this theory. Anyone out there feel like they're a little tough? I think it could happen. Theoretically, I think a man could take more than 2 bullets and still keep standing.
Okay, yes, not the way that guy. Okay, fine. I'll do that. Final thoughts on the movie. Shana, would you watch this or recommend this?
No, not at all.
Fair enough.
I would recommend it simply for the villain, but even then, it's not worth it.
Villains and
If you're curious about the villain and you're listening and you don't want to endure this, let us know and we will tell you about it.
yeah, we'll let you more about it, or like I'll give you like the timestamp and you can watch just that section.
Yeah.
Anyways, to kind of go back with your little summarization, I figured this is actually, if you remember the old TV show Firefly that had like 1 season, mix that with Fallout, and that's pretty much
Yep.
this movie. Except
And The
take
Walking Dead a
everything
little
good.
bit.
Yeah, take out all the good parts of those things, and
Yeah.
there you go. Yeah, if the movie's bad, don't watch this.
Yeah, don't watch it.
Don't watch it. Oh, lastly, before we end this, I just want to point out that there were no critters harmed in the making of this show.
Yeah, no critters.
No critters. They made a point of putting that in the credits.
Did they? I missed that.
They did. Yeah.
Wow.
It was in one of the final credits scenes. Is they had at the bottom. No critters were harmed in the making of this show.
Now I think I know the proper way to send off this show today.
Send off this show, huh?
Da-da,
Oh,
da-da,
do we?
da-da.
Do you not want to do like a ranking of the movies we've seen?
Okay, I think we could.
Yeah, just and then we'll
Yeah.
end off with your great ending. So we got a few more minutes. Well, 1 minute technically, but it's fine. It's
We
fine.
got a half a minute.
It's fine. So, how would you rate the 4 movies? Well, 3 movies plus Velocipaster
I would rank them Velocipaster
from best to worst.
from
That's
best to
what
worst, Velocipaster, Moose, Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter, Guns of the Apocalypse.
Really? You put Moose over Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter?
I have to. Moose was enjoyable. Not that Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter wasn't, but it was enjoyable in a different way. It offered me a better, entertaining experience.
All right.
What's your ranking?
I'm gonna have to disagree. Despite how blasphemous,
you got
you know
it.
what I mean.
Close enough.
Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter, Velocipaster, Moose, Guns of the Apocalypse.
That's fair.
Though my mind might change on the Velociraptor.
As long as
Jesus
we keep Guns of the
Christ.
Apocalypse on the bottom. we're
Yeah,
good.
that's pretty much the important thing. Okay. Thank you everyone for watching. Again, make sure to check us out on Facebook and Instagram. And if you're listening on YouTube, hello from YouTube and thank you so much for listening. And look out for questions about the show that we just had and answer the questions. And you can be involved in the show. Maybe we'll do a segment of here's your comments if we get enough comments.
Yeah, so send us comments.
Shannon, would you like to send us off?
Da 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 da.
Hey,
Thank you for watching our show. Leave us comments or we'll find you. Da da. Goodbye.